Thanks to the EA Creator Network for providing me free codes for The Sims 4 as an EA partner. My opinions are my own. Hey folks, how's it going? This is Iron Seagull here, back from vacation mode. I had a great time over in Newfoundland. I even got to see a baby seagull in real life for the first time. Probably the most precious thing I've ever filmed. But wow, in retrospect, I guess I'm glad I took that week off, because what the heck, 4 updates in the span of a week. So we of course had the main thing, the updates just before Lovestruck came out with all the new content and such, but as expected, it broke a lot of things, but they've actually been pretty quick to fix some of the major issues. A few hours after that initial update came out, we had an emergency patch, though they didn't release any patch notes for that one for some reason. But then on the 25th, we had a hotfix that fixed one Parenthood related issue. And then a day after, we got another hotfix that fixed some more issues. So, wow, that's good that they are actually speeding things up a bit in terms of the bug fixes. And then yesterday, console users got all of those hotfixes in one update, since it does take longer to certify console updates versus PC and Mac. So we'll go over those patch notes just to consolidate all of that before we get into the main content. For base game, other Sims no longer are mean for no reason. Yeah, that one came back. Sims who are related no longer form inappropriate relationships with each other through neighborhood stories with romance changes. Yep, so that one came back too, but in a different way. Call adoption agency on the phone or computer now works properly. Parenthood, the Simology panel no longer flashes for child or teen Sims who have reached the maximum of their character values, and the interface no longer becomes unresponsive. And then with Lovestruck, Sims no longer receive inappropriate phone calls from relatives. So that's all they fixed for now, but there are some other outstanding issues, like this one I ran into where part of Create a Sim just gets broken. In my case, actually it was a broken mod, a Sky Replacer by Fake Pikachu, which is now updated and my game works fine again. But other people have told me they've been getting this in completely unmodded games, just no mods at all, and they still somehow get this, so I'm not sure what's going on there. Hopefully that gets fixed soon. I've seen people talking about how ceiling lighting is broken now. The new eyelashes, when you go into first-person camera, they're still visible and floating, which looks really awkward. And you apparently can't interact with dolphins more than once anymore, because if you do interact more than once, then you'll just get last exception errors instead. As for the patch notes of the main update, I've gone over most of it in the laundry list video already, since most of the fixes are the same, but there are 2 major ones I want to highlight that we didn't already know at that time. So residential rentals are now able to be built on penthouse lots. So that opens some doors for builders. I just hope it doesn't break saves or anything really bad like that. For My Wedding Stories, we got some fixes, but the biggest thing here is that now there's 2 different wedding events that you can throw if you have the pack installed, because previously, if you had My Wedding Stories, you had to use the My Wedding Stories weddings. You couldn't use the base game ones, but now you can use both. So Planned Wedding Event is the base game one, and Planned Customized Wedding Event is the one from My Wedding Stories. This was in direct response to some simmers wishing that they could still use the base game weddings, so yeah, that's really nice that they listened to that feedback. Alright, with that out of the way, let's get into the main features of the update. Starting in Create a Sim, we have the Apply to Outfits button. So for example, I can click on a hat and there is a button where I can apply to all outfits at once, or just to some of them by checking them off individually. But now I've applied this hat to all outfits, so now I've gone over to swimwear and the hat is still there. And I think this will especially be handy for things like makeup. There's a variety of different Create a Sim items that you can do this with. And as a Create a Sim enthusiast, yeah, this is such a good quality of life update. It should have not taken this long, but thank goodness it is finally here. Speaking of makeup, there is a new category in there for eyelashes, another long requested feature. So there's 2 that are free in the base game, and then if you buy the Love Struck expansion, there's 2 more. Here's a better look in detail edit mode. I would say, yeah, I still prefer Kajiko's custom content eyelashes, but at least these are still better than what we've had for nearly 10 years. Not everyone is able to or even wants to use custom content, so it's better than nothing. In addition, we got not 1 but 3 new hairstyles, because the first one was previously advertised as a collaboration with Dark and Lovely that was supposed to arrive this month, so we got that in both natural and ombre variants, and I think it looks quite nice. I'm looking forward to using that. Next one is a short wavy bob that's not just available from teens through elders, but also for children. I love the hairline on this one, looks nice and realistic. Lastly, we have a short ponytail that's available from toddlers through elders, and the ponytail gives me Link Breath of the Wild vibes, which is definitely a bonus. Also, holy moly, there's a lot of nail swatches now, which is really cool. For French tips, coffin nails, and neutral palettes. And some of them are Pride-themed colors as well, so that's pretty neat. So definitely gonna get a lot of use out of these, so that's cool that we have such a big selection now without even having to get DLCs. By the way, in case you're wondering, the pose that my sim is doing here is not part of the update. This is a mod by Northern Siberia Winds, Control Position Mod version 2.2. I just thought this would be a much better way to show off the nails than just a little close-up of the hands while they're still dangling at their sides. Next is changes to relationships. So now, straight out of Create a Sim, it is possible to have 2 Sims as partners. So Sims who are dating but are not yet engaged or married. And they have also made a couple of the terms more gender neutral. So instead of husband and wife, there is now spouse, and there is also engaged instead of fiancé. I appreciate the gender neutral terms. I expected them to say partner whenever they would add that option to the game, but it is a little strange to me that they didn't leave the husband, wife, fiance, and have boyfriend, girlfriend there. It's not something that really bothers me all that much, but it just reminds me of how, like with pronouns, you don't have to assign them if you don't want to, but then, yeah, if you don't assign the pronouns, it'll work just like how the game did before that update was added. But now you can see there is a romantic boundaries option under more details. So there's 4 different questions. The sim feels jealous if any romantic partner engages in non-physical romance with other sims. The sim feels jealous if any romantic partner engages in physical romance excluding woohoo with other sims. The sim feels jealous if any romantic partner engages in woohoo with other sims. And the sim's jealousy triggers can change by talking about it with other sims. Using these options, it's now possible to create polyamorous relationships, so a nice bit of representation there. This does tie into the new relationship social pie menu that's available in live mode when you click on other sims, so some existing options are moved here, like ask to have science baby, divorce, or ask about romantic interest, but you can now learn more and ask about romantic boundaries. And it is possible to ask another sim to reconsider their romantic boundaries, if they are open to that. Another thing related to relationships is that now you can hide ones you don't want to see anymore in your relationships tab. So for example, clicking on Cameron here, we can go and hide relationship, and then there will be this message, are you sure you want to hide the relationship between Miki and Cameron? This sim will no longer appear in the relationship panel, but their relationship will remain unchanged. A hidden sim will reappear in the relationship panel if your sim interacts with them again. I never really thought about a feature like this, but it could come especially in handy for some of my sims who've been around a lot longer and have interacted with many Sims, and then I would just want to filter it down to the Sims who interact with them the most, and then just hide the ones that the Sim maybe just randomly interacted with once in a bar that was part of like a big conversation of Sims, and then just never again. They also updated that little menu that appears at the top of the screen when your Sim is in a conversation with other Sims, though to be honest, it looks the same to me. I'm not sure what's different here, but in the patch notes, they do say that they gave it a new coat of paint. Now for neighborhood stories. Hey, they didn't forget about that. Well, they did add one for adopting horses last year with Horse Ranch, but now there's something that should have been there from the start. Friendship changes and relationship changes. So with friendship changes, Sims can now become friends, but the friendship can also fall apart. And a similar thing for relationships. Though, as far as I know, Sims just get romantically involved, but they don't go as far as getting engaged or married. So I don't know if that's something they may still add later, but if they didn't add something like that alongside my wedding stories or Love Struck, I don't know when they would do it. But I am glad they finally added these two neighborhood stories. I don't always use all of them because I don't really want my Sims dying or having babies without me witnessing that. But friendship and romance changes, sure. Moving on to build mode, we finally have rounded corners for pools. This is something I wanted for so long, and they work in a similar way to curved walls, though thankfully they seem to be less glitchy. But you can place these different curved edges on their own or add them into existing pools, with the smallest version being 4x4. One nice thing about these rounded edges is that you can still place pool ladders on them, so you don't have to limit them to just the straight edges, and the same applies to the diving platforms if you own the Get Together expansion pack. I'm not an expert builder by any means, so you're not going to see any amazing examples of curved pools in action here, but it is nice that you can create a circular pool with this, especially if you wanted to do like one of those above ground pools that you have in the backyard that's like a smaller thing. And it's not just the pools these apply to, you also have rounded corners for fountains if you want to use those. Last thing is a few new options for the options menu. So we have the revival of NPC text requests. So there's romantic invites and requests such as asking to become engaged or being asked to prom and just date invitations in general. And then there's friendly requests like child playdate invitations, birthday party invites, restaurant invitations, or ask to be best friends. There is also allow automatic breakups here, but I think that one is actually a Love Struck feature. I don't remember if I had that pack installed yet when I recorded that particular footage. But hopefully those invites won't be so spammy this time, because I remember people hated those and that's why they were removed from the game for a good while. But last but certainly not least, we have safer streaming for music. So when you have this checked off, you can continue playing the music and you won't have to worry about getting copyright strikes on your videos or streams, which is great for content creators such as myself. In this menu, you can easily see which songs will still play while it's checked off because the streaming safe songs are marked with an asterisk beside them. For example, Run Away With Me by Carly Rae Jepsen, of course, that one's not going to be copyright safe. But then Obrezao by Jace Jupiter, which is an original Simlish song, is still safe for streaming. So there are some songs like that that I had a good feeling were streaming safe, but it's good when it comes to things like copyright to take all the guesswork out of the equation. And that wraps it up for this update. So I'm glad we have a bigger pre-expansion pack update again, because with the last two, I feel like they were quite small and didn't really have much worth talking about. I guess it's because the Growing Together one was so massive, adding a whole new life stage. But yeah, glad we're returning to form here, though it sucks, of course, that it broke so many things, but it also fixed quite a few bugs. I have no idea if we're going to be getting any more hotfixes in the near future, but I'll make more videos if there are. But especially as someone who spends a lot of time in Create a Sim, it's not often that we get updates that actually are a bit more weighted towards Creative Sim. Like with the Sims Delivery Express drops, yeah, those smaller ones have been more Creative Sim focused lately, but it is nice to see some more substantial improvements with Creative Sim as well. Feel free to let me know your thoughts on this update in the comment section below. So with this done, I will begin doing videos on Lovestruck. I think the first one I actually want to do is my world overview, where I actually explore the world with commentary. And then of course I will do my ambient ASMR video on Ciudad Enamorada, and we'll see what happens from there. I would like to go over the Creative Sim and probably some kind of gameplay video. So be sure to subscribe if you'd like to keep up with my latest gaming content. I will talk to you all later, and have a great day. Thanks for watching.